Good afternoon, smoke fans. Back in, say, 2000, and before the year 2000, record companies would come along and they'd find a band or an artist that had potential. Wasn't there, but had potential, and lots of it. They'd grab that artist, preferably if the artist was young and unknown, and they'd put them in an artist development phase. They would develop that artist. They would create that artist. Back in the 50s and the 60s, you've probably heard it called the star makers. And they would actually make stars out of these people. Ordinary people, such as Elvis, for example. Elvis got picked up by a star maker and was created almost from scratch. The pinnacle of this would be something like the band The Monkees, who never actually existed as a band. You know, the Monkees had a television show that was all populated by actors, and the band portrayed in the show was all actors, and the songs that they recorded, however, were hits. But those songs were all recorded by studio musicians, not the actors themselves. The Monkees as a band actually never really existed. They were the result of a star maker who simply created a persona that people wanted, bought the songs already written by professional songwriters, put them in the hands of studio musicians, and recorded them. And it worked, and the actors played their parts on stage. It was a pretty neat system, to be honest with you. But the problem with the system was they'd pick up an artist, and that artist would need money to live for a year, or the band, or 2 years. And so the record company would give them, say, $150,000 to do that. Then the record company would send them into the studio and record their album. Then they would do all the promotion and the album printing and, to print up 20,000 records on vinyl and distribute them and do all the calling to set up the tours and things like that. Well, this would cost about $500,000. And in the fine print of the record contract, all of that was a loan. None of that was actual free cash. Even the $150,000 they'd start by paying the band was a loan. And every dime the band made on the music after that first went back to the record company to repay the loan. And then, if that band didn't make it, if that record wasn't popular, then it wouldn't ever make the kind of money necessary to pay back the loan, and the artists would become essentially indentured servants of the record company. And this is why record companies got a bad reputation throughout the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and honestly even the 90s. Everything changed, artists hoped, when they got the ability to stick it to the man. And that was the advent of the internet. You get Facebook, you get YouTube, you get all these opportunities, Reverb Nation, for bands to promote themselves, for bands to, sisters are doing it for themselves. That's the bands, they were out there and they were kicking it in the shins all on their own, and they're getting their Facebook likes, and they're building their listener base, and I don't need no record company. And YouTube stars began to rise to the surface. You get all kinds of bands on YouTube and professional artists that have risen to the surface and made it themselves. And that's kind of cool. However, while sticking it to the man, many of the old record companies that didn't figure out the new paradigm, they went under. But some of the record companies figured out the new paradigm, and they said, wow, this Facebook thing, this is nice. What we do as a record company then is we'll go through social media. We will find those artists who've already made it. Those artists who've got 5,000 Facebook likes. Those artists where Reverb Nation is all abuzz about them. The YouTube artists people can't stop talking about. 2 million, 5 million, 10 million views on their videos. Just amazing stuff. And those are the artists we will approach. Those are the artists we will sign. And why would we do this? Because they're a non-risk entity. Those artists have already proven that they can make it. Those artists have a following. We put a little bit of money into promotion. We put a little bit of money into recording. We really go with these guys. And wow, We have a guaranteed return because the artist has already built a successful business. That's when the man turned around to the artist and said, "Yeah, back in your face." Because now artists and bands who were thinking, wow, I've got the internet, now I can do it without a recording company, now have to do it without a recording company. You have no choice, because recording companies, by and large, will no longer pick you up for artist development. See, the whole world has changed. We now have guaranteed commodities for record companies. Acoustic Smoke is really going for those Facebook likes because a recording company has approached us and said, wow, we love you guys. We've got great songwriting. The vocals are great. Your guitarist is out of this world. Your drummer, he is tight. And your stage show is just amazing. They loved us, and they told us they loved us, and they saw 200 Facebook likes, and then they just laughed and laughed and laughed. And the reason is, in their eyes, we've not intentionally built a sustainable business that is a guarantee of success for their financial input. So that's how the new world of the recording artist and the record company works. I just thought I'd share that information. It's probably different than most people expect it to be. Give us a like if you can. Like this video, like our page, send it to your friends, share. This is Joe Holt with Acoustic Smoke. Catch you later.